So what we're going to do is the order of discussion. The first thing we're going to do is share our summaries, and then we're going to share our jobs, and we'll do the connector and the quote master, and we're going to take a writing break, and we'll do the psychologist, then we'll share the illustrator job, and then we'll do our discussion questions. And then if there's extra time, we're going to add more discussion questions, and then at the end, we're going to figure out who's going to do which job. So, does somebody want to share their summary? Summary of this.
I'll share my summary. This book is a book about Sophie. The reader finds out how Sophie reacts when she is angry. Sophie starts off inside the house, then she goes outside, but ends up home again. Sophie looks young, and I think that the story is set during the springtime because there are lots of flowers on the trees. The author wants to teach the readers appropriate ways to act when you get angry.
So I think we need to add though that she got angry. I think it was a really important detail that she got angry when they took her, when her sister took her toy away. So that's what got her angry in the first place, is that she was playing with the monkey and then her sister took it away. But I think all the rest of it.
I liked how you added a lot more detail to your summary than I did to mine. You said what season it was, what the time and setting were, and what the lesson you thought that the author had. That was a lot.
Yeah, I had a clarification since we're doing the summary. Who was older? Was her sister older? Did it ever say?
No. I thought it was really hard to tell in the pictures too. I was wondering the same thing.
Oh, so maybe we weren't supposed to know necessarily.
If you look at it in the picture, it looks like they're almost exactly the same age.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
And then they want to play with the same toy, so I'm thinking they have to be close to age. What page is that?
So they're
That's
close.
the
Maybe it
very
doesn't really matter who's older.
Right.
They're just close. It's good enough.
I had a confusion question. Do you think this has happened before? Because it confused me, I don't know. Do you think that maybe she's gotten angry over maybe toys being taken from her before?
You know what's funny is I wrote that too, but I wrote that as a discussion question because I didn't think it was that we were confused. I think that was something that's really interesting to talk about in the rest of the book. So, but I like that. Let's share our jobs and then we should maybe that'll be the first question we talk about.
Okay,
Is that
sounds
okay?
good.
Okay, so who did the connector?
I did the connector. All right. So the first connection that I made was that when Sophie came home, when Sophie came home, her family was really excited to see her. She looked excited to be back. And she ran in the house and she said, "I'm home." And then it said, like, the house is warm and smells good. Everyone is glad she's home. And she's shouting, "I'm home," and everybody looks excited. And so I said, Sophie's family is very excited when she gets home. They're supporting her strategy to help her calm down. And then I said, Sophie looks happy to be home. And I connected with that because I have a very supportive family too. And they're willing to move forward after I have any issues or, moments where I need to calm down. And they help support me during tough times. And we develop strategies that help me get through our stressful lives. And then also, whenever I go home, I'm very happy to see my parents. And I feel safe and excited to be with my family. That was one connection I made with Sophie.
So when you were little, did you have sort of the same situation where you got angry and reacted in the same way? Because you said they were very supportive.
Yes, they were. We always came up with strategies because I have a little brother, and he would very often, and my big sister, it's not just my little brother, they would take things away from me, or if I was playing with the computer, they would gang up on me, and one of them would pick me up and remove me, and the other one would get on the computer. And my mom helped us develop strategies to get along, which helped me later in life because now I get along really well.
Did you guys have any, what did you guys think of that connection?
I think that it was very interesting that she was able to connect it to her own personal experiences. And one of the things that I did is I connected to a book that I've read before. And so one of the books that I've read, it talks about like sibling rivalry. And it was clear that this was an issue between into. But one of the things that happened in the book that I read is that the parents were more involved in how to strategize to make sure that it didn't happen again. And so when we get into our discussion, then we can kind of touch on that more.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you both talked about the involvement of the parents, because I wasn't sure whether that made it better or worse. Sometimes if mom figures out the solution, it makes you more angry than if you and your sister can work it out between you. So, I was connecting to that.
Yeah, I felt like that too, like that sort of like the mom and giving it, I think my mom used to do that. I felt like I had the same connection, like I always felt like it was really unfair when my mom was like, let your brother play or share with your brother, and I got really angry.
And then I made a second connection.
Do we wanna?
Let's just do one
So
in
I'm gonna
interest of
break
time.
out of the roll for a sec and say, let's just maybe do one quote master and keep going.
Okay. Okay, I'm the quote master. I like to say that. So, the quote that I chose first was on this page where it says, "She kicks, she screams, she wants to smash the world to smithereens." And I liked just the sound of it. I liked the beat of it, and I liked how screams and smithereens almost rhymed with each other almost. And smash and smithereens had alliteration at the beginning, so I just really liked the sound. But I also thought it was a great illustration, both in the words and in the picture, of how angry Sophie felt. So that was my first quote.
I agree with you, especially when you said about the alliteration, smash and smithereens. I really could feel that, and I like when the author does that. I felt like it made it more dramatic, which was important at that moment.
And look at how the letters smash. They're actually like broken into pieces, so I really like that. Very interesting.
I loved how the illustrations really went with the words so well. That was so interesting. Okay, so we're going to take a writing break.
So we're not really going to do a writing break for this in the interest of time, but what they would normally do is I would post a question on the board. They would stop and answer the question and write for a certain amount of time, probably 5-10 minutes. Then you would come back to group to continue. So now we'll say the writing break is over, and we'll continue. Thanks, leader.
Okay, so the psychologist, that's me. And I have to look at her thoughts and feelings. I'm going to share her behavior. I'm going to share her speech, behavior, and actions. And the things that I thought that were really important was where it talked about Sophie running into the woods and climbing a tree. And that to me says that she really likes to escape. You know, that I could tell that she gets so overwhelmed. And the fact that she's like climbing a tree, I think shows, A, that she's really athletic and she likes to climb and run and play and that kind of thing, but also that she likes to kind of get away from the world. So maybe she's a little bit more of an introvert because she doesn't necessarily like to be around, like she doesn't immediately go to her mom for comfort. When she needs comfort and when she needs to relax, she goes to go off by herself.
I think it's interesting that you interpreted that as going off by herself, because what I saw as her strategies, and I'm sure it was because I was connecting myself, was first of all that she was exercising, which often makes you feel better after you're angry, and secondly that she was getting into nature, which also makes you feel good.
So why did you agree with that?
I agree because I felt the same way she did. I didn't necessarily see it as her running away from her family. Like you said, she was an introvert. I didn't see it like that. And I think a part of the reason why I didn't is because she was clearly upset with her mom. So she would not go to her for comfort because her mother is the one who said, no, it is her turn. So I felt that she went to a place that made her feel okay. And like she said, exercise piece and a running piece, which really is like something that I even spoke about when it was time for me to do my illustration.
And I was going to say, made a connection too about how when she was running away, and then she just got to a place where she felt comfortable. And I kind of saw it as both, where she was out in nature and she was with nature and that was her comfort place, but I also saw that she was alone, because I saw it as both, because even though she's out in nature and enjoying nature, she's also enjoying her alone time, which I think both of those pieces kind of, I connected with them because I can see how that's helpful to me when I just need space, and that's what she got, and she was able to do it in nature and do it by herself.
Right. Okay, so we're gonna jump ahead again and go to the illustrator in the interest of time.
Okay. And so I am the illustrator, so I had to write what I visualized. So this is the piece that I focused on, some of the visualization. So when Sophie became so angry, I felt like she was going to explode. She ran. She ran for as long as she could, then she cried. I chose this passage because running calmed her down. Breathing in the fresh air, being around nature had an effect on her. She was able to gather her thoughts as she watched the water and waves and listened to the birds chirping. As angry as she was, and as hurt as she felt, the beauty of the trees, waters, the rocks, the world made it all seem okay. That even when we get angry, we just need to remember the majestic beauty of nature. I felt like that really helped her to calm her down, seeing all the beauty in the world. And granted that, I think we all have felt that way, like so angry. And then you say, go for a ride. And just having the wind blow, it just makes you feel a little better. And so I felt like I totally understood that, and I definitely relate to it based on, like, the picture. And this is the picture, of course, that I chose. So I looked here, and then I chose this particular one because she says she runs and runs until she can't run anymore. And I felt like that was just such an interesting, just how beautiful it was. So that's what I chose.
I liked your illustration, but I just wanted to add on to it that
Okay.
I was focusing on when she couldn't experience the beauty of nature until she calmed down. And so it was partly where she says now she sees the rocks and the trees and the ferns and she hears the birds. So like it took her a while to be able to appreciate the beauty, which to me showed that she was sort of over it.
I think she can add it together. Oh, okay, good.
And I noticed that too, because when she's first running, she passes little animals like squirrels, and the squirrel's not saying anything. And then the mouse isn't saying anything, and she's still very upset. And then eventually, when it's on the page where it says now she sees the rocks and the trees and hears the birds, she hears a bird, and it says tweet. And then over here, there are more animals when I know when it is. It's when she's walking back. Okay. And when she's walking back on this page and she heads for home, the squirrel and the bird and the mouse and the owl and everybody's making noise. And so it's like she can all of a sudden hear and be able to like calmly take in everything around her, and she's not so focused on being mad anymore.
I love that you noticed that detail in the illustrations. I didn't see that myself.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. That's very interesting. Like that. Okay, so we had one question that had come up that we thought was really, that I think you had talked about was, that I had at the same time was, has she done this before, and is this a pattern of behavior? So, what do you guys think?
I would say yes. I think that she has done this before because the purity of it. I thought that she got so angry and that she was like smashing and screaming. And it was alarming to me, to be honest, because I didn't know why she would get so angry unless this is something that has been like a repeated behavior.
And I think she knew how to respond and her family knew how to respond, so that gave some sense that it wasn't the first time it had ever happened.
Right, I was wondering why they didn't like go after her. And I assume, I'm gonna infer that that must be it, because like, I know that if I got angry and ran out for the first time and my parents had never seen me do that, they'd be like, where are you going? And they would freak out and they would run after me. So I made the inference that this must have happened before because her parents didn't run after her, which was kind of an unexpected thing for them to do.
Right. And when she got home, they also didn't lecture her. They just were happy that she was home again.
They didn't
And-
say, where did you go?
Right, and they were just very welcoming and excited that she was back. I mean, her mom's arms are stretched out wide. She's very excited that she's home.
So I thought that was interesting.
It might be a great place to wrap it up.
Okay. So, we're gonna pretend that we just talked about everybody's questions.
Mhm.
And so, next time, because we have to do different jobs, so next time, you're gonna do, if you just did, who did the connector?
Me.
So, do you wanna do quote master, psychologist, or illustrator?
I'll do the quote master.
Okay, what do you wanna do?
I would like to do, I guess I'll be the connector.
Okay.
So that leaves the illustrator?
And the psychologist, you have to be psychologist, because I was just psychologist. so I
Okay,
can't do that.
I'll be psychologist then.
Okay, and then, even though this book technically we finished it, if we were reading a chapter book, we would be reading to page 65. Okay, now we fill out the, we go back to our desks and fill out the literature reflection sheet.
Thank you.
Yeah.